He's mystified everyone from Hollywood's biggest stars to the President of the United States.
Joshua J! Everybody! How did you do that?
I think you fooled us. That was the way you did
it. There are thousands of videos and books on magic technique and theory and tricks. But if you want to know the secret to putting together a show, executing a show, mounting a show, and doing the show, there's almost nowhere to look. For the last 5 years, I've been working on developing a show, 6 Impossible Things. In this project, I not only share that show with you, but we go into the decisions behind a show, how to write a show, how to mount a show, and how to keep doing that show after hundreds of performances. If you're looking for how to take a collection of tricks and turn them into a show with a through line, a show that tells stories, a show that gives meaning to the magic, this is for you. I'll be detailing how some of my most prized effects work.
Wait a minute, can you take the tape off of there? Try and take the tape. Can you get into the pocket there, Sabrina? See, there is no pocket. There is no...
It's an unusual, unforgettable journey, and for the first time ever, we're allowing cameras into the space to give you a front row seat to 6 impossible things.
What an incredible trailer. Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing? My name is Matt Zatt, and yes, as it says down there, I was the production manager at 6 Impossible Things, so this is a very special project to me. But as many of you may know, I do now work at Vanishing Ink as well, and it's so awesome to have everyone here. We are announcing a very special project. You've already seen the trailer, but there's so much more that is going to be happening in this stream. In a second, we're going to be welcoming Josh in. We're going to take a look at the deluxe set. We're going to take a look at a full performance. We're going to be answering questions. We're going to be giving away prizes. So hopefully you have grabbed something to drink, something to eat, and you are hanging out with us. Let's bring in the man of the hour, Mr. Joshua J.
Hey, Matt. Hey, everybody.
Hello. It is looking nice, sunny there. It's not sunny here, but Josh, it is. It's amazing. It is many years in the making, as we know, but I would just love to just hand the floor to you and just talk about this project, what it means, and why it's just so exciting to have it finally come out.
Well, that's, there's a lot to unpack there. I've been working on this show. I had been working on this show for many years before I got the courage up to do it. For better and for worse, it's a very different kind of magic show. It was truly experiential. We took people on a journey. And I think as you're going to find in this project, the main thing that you will take away from it is how much it evolved once it started. And that's a really important lesson that often isn't talked about in magic. But look, as for what it means to me and what it could mean to you, it was the most ambitious thing I've ever done in magic. And so, it's important to me. And I think the material is stuff I'll never do again because it was set up right in that room. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope some of it fools you. But as to what it can mean to you, there are so many magic things that tell us tricks and magic books that teach us how to do tricks. And we talk about shows in very lofty terms. Well, you need to come full circle, but what does it actually mean? This is the only product I'm aware of where we dig into how I put a show together, how I, got from A to B and the problems that came from that and how we solved those problems.
Yeah, it is truly, I had a chance to finally see the whole thing recently. It dives into everything. We're going to tell you everything that is part of the project, but it is true. I saw a lot of people when we were coming into the chat. They're like, I saw the show in 2018. I saw the show in 2019. I was at the first run, and it is incredible to see how much it's evolved. And this is filmed and it's absolutely perfect. And I believe we're going to dive more into the behind the scenes, but I know you were super, super excited about having a chance to show people how incredible the footage from the show is. And one of those tricks is probably something that people have not seen, especially if they saw the show earlier in the run. I know you wanted to cue it up, but you want to talk a little bit about, so this is a trick, is a newer trick in the show. It's a special one to you. We can cue it up and see it. And this will give everyone, before we go any further, a chance to really see how incredible, how amazingly shot this entire project is.
You want me to cue it up?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to hear more about it. I know it's a personal favorite of mine.
So this is, I don't want to spoil too much for you, but basically the whole show is meant to go like this. So very, very early in the show, the first thing that you see, the first thing that the guests see is they say, we're going on a journey. And to go on this journey, we need to pack. And so I take a little mini suitcase out and I pour water dramatically in this suitcase. And mysteriously, the water doesn't leak everywhere. I close the suitcase, I lock it up, and I give it to somebody to hold. And now throughout the rest of the show, when they're walking around, they're taking the suitcase with them. And I tell them, don't give it to anybody. Don't let it out of your sight. And then in Act 5 of 6, I borrow a credit card. And the credit card vanishes and goes in a most unusual place. So with that said, let's take a look.
All right, everybody, take out a credit card, wave it at me. It's my favorite part of the show. Yes, you got one? You didn't come with a card? Oh man, we're gonna have to ask you to leave. Oh, I'm kidding. Let's see. What is your last name, sir? That is correct. I found what I'm looking for. You can put those cards away. Jonathan, thank you. Yeah. I'm going to mix your card in with these other envelopes. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Name one. 2. You sure? Thanks for coming to the show, Jonathan. We appreciate it. I actually have a very good feeling about this. I would like you to take this envelope, tear it open, show them that you found your way back to your own property, that you were able, through your own intuition. Is it not there? It's not there. The new title of the show is 5. But actually, your credit card is going on a journey. And this is the first stop. Would you hold out your hand for me? Tell everybody what you see there. Anything else?
Brown paper.
Just bits of paper, right? Nothing else? Is my hand empty? Place those pieces in my hand. Watch. That's a key. Now, you've been holding on to that luggage the whole time, right? You haven't given it to anybody else. Take that key and unlock the luggage. Now, you remember what we packed, right, in the beginning? Water. Now, open up that luggage and take out what's inside. Go ahead. Take that out. And now, before you go any further, what do you feel there?
It's really cold.
It's really cold. Anything else?
Slightly damp.
Slightly damp. So cold and damp. We packed water, but now unfold that and know that if you drop it, we will have no trick. Tell everybody what you see there.
A block of ice.
And inside the block of ice,
A credit card.
a credit card. Look, inside this block of ice is a credit card. Now, pass that around. That really is inside the ice. There's no protrusions or holes. That's not made of plastic. That really is ice. Now, I just want you to cover your hand with that cloth. Would you verify that there's no illusion there, that that really is inside the ice?
It is frozen solid.
And the only way that we can be sure that that is your credit card is to read all 20 of the digits out loud. No, I'm kidding. Before we do anything else, is there some discerning mark on that card, maybe a signature or a credit card number that you would know is yours?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
And in about 3 hours, you're going to be able to use this again. Look, you stand up in place. Watch carefully. I would like you to reach into the layers of that ice and take out your card and verify for us one more time, is that your credit card?
It's my credit card.
Turn it.
Wow. So obviously we won't get too much into the method here, but I would love to just talk about that trick because it was such a good summation of everything and the Six Impossible Things team coming together and working on just, one of these ideas you had in your head and just bringing it to life and just chat about how it came to be, because it does have a pretty unique backstory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I first heard Lance Burton talk about the idea of marquee effects. And a marquee effect would be something that sounds great at the water cooler the next day when you're talking about it. And what could be cooler than the image of a credit card coming out of a solid block of ice that they didn't realize they were carrying around the whole show? It's just the peak of an impossibility. And this is, something I think about a lot because I feel like there's a lot of magic tricks and a lot of magic shows that do fun routines and cool routines and routines that have great presentations. But at the end of the day, they're not doing high miracles. It's really low level stuff. It's stuff that's like barely impossible or feels like a 1 in 4 chance. So we wanted something that hit extremely hard and that would be considered a high miracle and would be considered the kind of thing they talk about afterward. And I do love that visual at the end of that trick every night when everybody is huddled around you. I don't think we did it when we filmed, but usually people stand all around and I crack the ice and let them reach into the layers of the ice and remove their credit card. And it was a great collaboration because, as you know, we had to put that together. And as you'll find out when you watch this, many tricks have methods in the traditional sense, the sense that we think of them. But this trick has a method that has a lot to do with where people are. We seat the person with the box with the ice in a particular location in that room. And the person who we borrow the credit card from is in a different location in the room. And choreography plays a big role in how that all comes together, which people sleep on that as a method, just choreography and layout.
Yeah, and it's actually perfect that you brought it up because that trick is the perfect summation of what made Six Impossible Things so special. Because when you're filming it, obviously you have to see the moment, so you can't have everyone crowd around you. But every night, people would literally be crowding because it wasn't theater seating. So people would be standing over, watching that moment, that crack moment. And when you would hit it right with the mallet, just the ice shattering, and people can hear it, and maybe even get an ice chunk on their shoe, which is something you're not going to get in a 1,000-person theater. That's a trick that could work, but it's not going to have that same moment, which you would probably agree that it really was built for a show just like Six Impossible Things.
I'll probably never do that trick again unless I do it for TV or something like that, just because it was built for that room, for that audience, for that size, for that show, everything about it.
And I think that's perfect. So the deluxe set does have explanations. Everyone is going to learn how the tricks are done. But more importantly, it's the discussion of building a trick, creating a moment that's unique for you and the show, the space you're in, and things like that. And that's exactly a good point. Saying you're never going to perform it again doesn't mean it's not an absolutely phenomenal trick, but it was built for that moment and creating the best part of that moment. And I think it's a good segue into the deluxe set because that is what this deluxe set is. So you've all just seen a clip of the show. It is 4K quality. It is just absolutely stunning, gorgeous. It's amazing. It's a great watch for you, lay people alike. awesome. But then there is the deluxe set, which before we go even any further, I think the cat is out of the bag. People know we are going to bring up right now where you can get it while we are talking about it. That deluxe set is available right now. It is a limited edition deluxe set. It is signed, it is numbered, it is first edition. It will never be available again. So make sure you scan that QR code, vanishinginkmagic.com/SIT, and get yours now. Yes, it'll never be available again, and you get a ton of things. We'll get into the collectibles. We'll talk them through. There it is. There it is. We actually just got ours. I got mine today. I haven't even had a chance to open mine yet, and we're going to look into it for the first time. You're going to see there's a bunch of stuff in there. We might as well. Josh is ready to go to look in it. And we're going to kind of talk through each thing in there. But in addition, you're going to get those explanations. And it's 3.5 hours talking of how to build your own show. Amazing behind the scenes looks that when I watched, I got super nostalgic about. But you are going to get some cool collectibles never available anywhere else. I am also going to see them for the first time. The set is beautiful. Everything about it is gorgeous. I know I'm biased, but Vanishing Ink does things right. I'm not going to open it first, though, because I am just the lowly production manager. We're going to have the star and perform. You're going to pull the tab first. You're going to see it for the first time. I'm just as excited as you are.
So yeah, this is a shout out to George Luck, who is producing this event, and he produced this, but you pull at the same time. It's got this like pulley action, and you get this. And there are, of course, because 6 is the number running through all of this, there are 6 things that go on. So this is your starting point, and this is your first impossible thing. By the way, every set is numbered. And you get a little letter from me. And, the set had, the coolest thing about the show is, maybe not the coolest thing, I hope, but a cool thing about the show is that it was in an unmarked basement in Chinatown. So when you came to the show, you would see this blue door, this iconic blue door, and that was all you would see. And you didn't really know until you saw this little sign that told you what to do. And the minute you entered the space, the show basically started secretly. So that's one of your impossible things. A second one is perhaps the most sought after thing. I've been using these decks for a couple of years now, but these are the deck of cards from the show. And there's all kinds of secrets in this deck, which I won't go into. If you've seen me do the t-shirt trick, you know that I put a piece of duct tape that then becomes part of the t-shirt. And so this deck of cards has what looks like a piece of duct tape on it, labeling it, which is a cool callback to the show. The cards themselves have the 6 logo on all the 6s. There are a couple of really cool things with the Jokers and Surge Block's artwork. And in fact, the back, I'll just tip this here. They're plastic and coated.
While you're pointing those out too, just remember you stick around till the end, everybody, because if you are one of the winners of the Vanishing Ink gift pack, you are going to get one of those decks of cards. Absolutely gorgeous, amazing, handle like a dream, and also a shirt, a 6 Impossible Things shirt directly from the show that is unavailable anywhere else. You cannot get it anywhere else, only if you win that prize pack. Stick around. We will be announcing the winners at the end. But let's keep going, because if I don't even know if you're going to break the seal, you have a few of those. I think you're
yeah,
but you can see they are.
But what I was going to show is, I really like Surge Block. He's a well-known artist and a fantastic artist. And these are the 6 insignias of the show. So you'll see here the t-shirt. That's for the t-shirt trick. The coffee mug there, that's a hot chocolate mug. That's for the first and last thing that I do. This question mark here is the ice. That's for credit card and ice. The flashlight is for murder. The sock is for a trick I do with a borrowed pair of socks. I actually make somebody take their socks off right in the middle of the show. And then the person holding the page, that's for a trick with a book called Alice, perhaps my favorite trick in the piece. And then there's a bent fork for another piece that we do totally in the dark in the show. So you get that deck of cards. Here's just an idea of little details. I like the little 6 on the 6. And then you get cool things like this comes in there with the deck. That's a Surge Block variation of a Tennille illustration. And then you get this, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So that's the deck of cards.
A beautiful, beautiful deck.
You also get this. This is kind of cool. I've never seen this done before, but we wanted to give, tremendous value to the people who came to the show. And the show tickets were expensive. They had to be because of how small it was and the staff it took to run it. So every single person that came to the show got a hardbound book, a 6 Impossible Things hardbound, cloth-bound book. And I spent a lot of time writing this. And basically, these 6 tricks, each one told a story. And so this book, the purpose of this book would help the show live on. We wanted to blur the line of where the show ended and began, and we didn't want it to be 1 hour. We wanted it to be weeks, right? People could experience it. So in this show, with the little satin bookmark, you get, I talk about Uri Geller when I do the fork bending. So there's a little bit on Uri Geller, and I tell this funny story of the fork that he gave me one time, which is a true story. I do a trick in the thing called Trust, where I use a cigar cutter to apparently cut off somebody's finger, and I tell a story about Roald Dahl. In Alice, I talk about the similarities between Alice in Wonderland and magic and different things on that. And so this book is the kind of thing that if somebody enjoyed the show and was vibing to the stories, they're going to get different stories in here. They're going to get enlightened on the things that we would talk about in the show. And so, yeah, I think that's a cool value. And these are the original ones from the first round.
And that was just thanks for those are the original ones. Yes, we found a secret stash of the absolute original ones. So you're going to see the show in its entirety from the first day it launched, and you'll also get to compare that to see how it evolved and how it all tied together perfectly. So those are also, just to stress, unavailable anywhere else except in the deluxe set.
And it is true. I mean, there will be a little bit of a disconnect because this is from like the first or the second run. And so there are things in here that aren't referenced in the show you'll see because we swapped out so many tricks. There's so many things that changed. But this is a cool one. I can't wait to wear this actually. And you could use this in your own way. When I do the t-shirt trick, it's the only trick from 6 Impossible Things I still do all the time. I did it on the Late Show. I do it in my parlor sets. And so you force a number, 311 311 155 001411. Yeah, I write that in the phone every night when I do it. And upside down, it makes the word impossible. So there's the number, and there's impossible. So you've got a cool lapel pin that does something really cool. I think it would be cool to wear it upside down. And then when people are like, what's with all those numbers? You can do a trick, or you can just flip it upside down and show, hey, I'm a magician. And it's got impossible on it. This, very cool. I haven't opened this yet. This is a Kleenex. So if you find as you're watching the show, you just have to blow your nose. No, it's not. This is a pocket square, but it's not a square, it's a circle, and it's got this red lining on the side. Because I don't know about you guys, but when you are wearing a pocket square, there's a lot of people have different folds and they can fall down in your pocket if you change them from one to the other. But I came across these in my travels. The circle is so great. And this is, nobody will know it's a 6 Impossible Things thing except for you. But what's so cool about this, you'll probably want to iron it to get these wrinkles out. But all you do is you press down like this, pull it through, and you put this in your pocket square. And when it's hard to do it, but when you pull it into the pocket square, it makes really interesting lines. It's just, I saw somebody with it once and I was like, what's going on? And the guy was like, oh, here's the tip. You use a circle instead of a square, and then you never have to fold it. It can never look weird. It'll always look correct. And yeah, you just pull it through like that, and then that goes in the thing, and it really, really looks nice as a pocket square. So you get that as well. That's 5. That's 1, 2, 3. Deck of cards is 4. The show, of course, is number 5. The show and the 3.5 hours of explanation are your 5th impossible thing. And then the 6th impossible thing is this bad boy. So this has some writing on it. It has 3 different things, and we printed these out. These are also from the show. I wanted a ritual to give to any young magicians who came through. There's a lot of magic tourism that goes on, and so we wanted to be able to do something special if a young magician came, or any magician really. And this comes from something that I do before every show I give. And it evolved over the years, and it was this little soiled piece of paper that I used to keep in all my jackets and in the lid of my suitcase. And I would actually look at this before I would go on every night before I did shows. And truly in 6 Impossible Things, same thing. I would look at these 3 items. And so I thought it could be fun. Matt, are we good to do this now to take people through it?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
So the first thing is, it says, number 1, have a good time. Man, if I could give people a critique when I watch acts and see other performers, it's that they get so many things right. They're rehearsed and they're scripted and their show is tight and they don't flash and they've practiced, but they aren't having a good time. So the first one's a bit of an obvious one, but it's the kind of thing you do want to remind yourself on right before you go out. And that is, have a good time. Actually walk out and be happy to be there. You're not always going to be excited to be there, but you should. You should feel that way. And I'm not going to name them, but I can name performers for you, well-known performers who just don't look like they're having a good time. They might have everything else going for them, but they don't act like they're having a good time, and you can tell. And also, having a good time makes up for so much else that you might be deficient in. Something might go wrong. The audience might not be great. But if it looks like you're having a good time, you can make up for a lot of ground. Number 2, this one's for anybody who gets nervous when they perform. If you walk out and you're worried you're going to shake, if you're worried you're not going to remember something, number 2 says tonight is part of the process. Tonight is part of the process. I basically, if I ever get nerves, I can make those nerves almost go away entirely when I remember that tonight is part of the process. What I mean by that is, when you put pressure on yourself to be great here and now, I've got the show and it's so important, all my friends are in the audience, it's for a work and I'm getting paid a lot of money for it, whatever it is, you are thinking about this show as an end-all be-all experience. But zoom out. If this show is part of the process, then you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be every bit the perfectionist that you want to be. You just want to be improving. If tonight's part of the process, I would look at the show like 6 Impossible Things and think about, it doesn't have to be perfect tonight, but tonight's show number 87 of 250, I want it to be better than the last one. Or I'm going to try some new things tonight and I want to see how they go. And all of a sudden it becomes like an experiment. And then I'd really look forward to being out on stage, because I'd be thinking about, how could I get better? Or what could we try that would be a little bit different? And now it's like this, nerves go away because you're just testing things out. And man, as soon as I started looking at my magic like that, I ceased to have any serious nerve issues. And number 3, perform like it's the first time and the last time. There's an old parable in music that goes like this. They're backstage at Carnegie Hall, the New York Symphony Orchestra. And the conductor comes backstage and says, okay, people, let's get ready. Tonight we're going to play, I've decided, Beethoven's Fifth. And somebody in the front row goes, ugh, are you kidding me? This is the most obvious piece you could pick. Why wouldn't we play something for these people that's obscure and cool and kind of a hidden track? But Beethoven's Fifth is the most obvious thing you could have chosen. And the conductor says, come here. And he calls them to the curtain that peers out on the audience. And they open the curtain a little bit. And he says, do you see that young kid, like maybe 5, 6 years old in the front row, that little girl? Do you see her? This is the first time she's ever going to hear Beethoven's Fifth. And behind her and to the left on the aisleway, do you see that old man? Looks like he'd be mid-90s. It's probably the last time he's ever going to hear Beethoven's Fifth, at least live. You're playing for her and you're playing for him. Wow. Right? Perform like it's the first time and the last time. I realized that we are all ambassadors to magic. So when people would come to Six Impossible Things, when people come to your show, they're there to see you, of course, but you have such an opportunity to give them the experience of magic. And that sounds wishy-washy and Doug Henning-ish, and it sounds obvious, but live in that moment. Don't cast it aside before you really think about it. What a cool opportunity that the people who came to my show, the people who will come to your shows, for them, you will be their first magic experience, or for some, their last magic experience. And when you think about it in those terms, I don't know about you, but it makes me want to deliver the best show I can.
Just 100%. I mean, I am glad to get another one of those, because I had one of those in my wallet for months, years even, and it did finally, after carrying around with me, it broke down. So I'm happy to have another one. That last piece of advice is worth the whole live stream. If you're just here hanging out, it's worth the whole live stream. It is. I tell myself before every show the same. There's 1,000 people, and have fun. I do need to clarify something though. The deluxe set is available. That is the one for the collectors. That is the limited edition. It is signed. It is numbered. It has the explanations. But maybe you just want to check out the show. You just want to see the show in its beautiful 4K glory. That is also available. The show only is also available. You can stream it anytime for as long as you want, as many times as you want. You can cast it to your TV. You can do it. You can enjoy just the show. So that is available. The deluxe set, though, is where you get the amazing collectibles and also the explanations, which I would like to just keep explaining a little further about that. So yes, you are, and we're going to dive into it. Yes, you are absolutely going to learn the core methods behind all of the main tricks. You are going to see that. You will see my 3-year younger face walking you through my favorite trick. Josh is there. Jason's there. Cassie's there. Kevin's there. The whole team's there. It's a great time. But also, more importantly, there is just absolute gold in putting together your own show. And more importantly, knowing when to give up on a trick. And that is one thing Josh deserves all the credit in the world for, is just knowing when something's not working, the tweaks aren't working. How can I make this the best possible experience? Is this effect the one that's giving them that? Sometimes it isn't. And I know Josh actually had some clips prepared so you can see sort of what the explanations is, how they talk about. So I'll let him cue them up. We'll watch some of the explanation right now.
Yeah, well, let's just jump into this clip if you want. So you can see this is from an interview section that we did, the foundation of the show and how it came together. So yeah, let's roll. I really believe that the greatest art is art where you're seeing the tip of the iceberg. And that goes for my favorite albums, my favorite plays, my favorite films. It just can't be great unless you leave volumes more on the cutting floor than what makes it into the piece. The opener to the show is not the opener that we started with. The close of the show is not the closer that we started with. There are huge, huge swaths of material that we cut out. And you have to be willing to cut it out. And as a magic shop owner, that's a weird thing to say, because we, of course, love it when you buy new magic. And I spent tons of money and time on magic that ended up being cut from the show. And I'll tell you, what a painful night when this trick that I thought would be the backbone of the show, this huge financial and huge time investment, I think it was Eli, a guy from the crew, just walked in and he went, "You ready to be honest?" And I just went, "No, we'll cut it. We'll cut it tonight." And it came out of the rehearsals, and all those cards go out to the dumpster, and you count that as a loss. But I don't count that as a complete loss, because by cutting that out, we made the show better. By cutting that out, it forced me to think about what else can we do to be interactive? What else can we do that everybody can have happen in their hands? And we found something much, much, much better. Yeah, I really think that this is something that isn't talked about enough. And it's funny how this issue really divides people. A magician I respect very much sort of said, I disagree. I will go to the ends of the earth to fix my routine until it's great. And even David Copperfield, when I interviewed him for How Magicians Think, he was very adamant. I said, how many tricks do you have that end up on the cutting room floor or that you quit on? And he was like, none. I work on every trick until it's perfect. And that's very different from my process. I think that to get to the 6, we launched with 9 impossible things, knowing we would cut the weakest 3. And then we ended up replacing 5 of those 6 as the show went on. We just kept finding ways to make the show better. And if we would get a trick as good as we thought we could make it, and we would meet, by the way, 4 of us would meet every night after the show to talk about what went right and what we thought could go better or what we didn't like in terms of moments. So, process.
Yeah, and I know you've spoken about this before about how it's common for magicians to say the audience changes every night, and you spoke about this. We have a great roundtable with the whole team, a podcast roundtable that's coming out very soon with a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Definitely worth a listen. And you talked about that, about how if you have 1,000-person audience, the people might change, but it feels like performing for an entity. When you have 20 people, you see exactly, you hear exactly what's not working. They're 5 feet from you the entire time. And if they didn't like something, there's no barrier to protect. They let you know that it's not working. So it's a lot more difficult to just say, I'm going to force this to work.
Yeah, it really is interesting. Think about this. For those of you who perform for different audience sizes, think about this. It was the first time in my career that I ever observed this, but there's a critical moment, and I don't know whether that's 30 people or 50 people or 60 people, but at a certain point, you treat the audience as one thing, right? When you say you, here's what I want you to do, everybody. You mean you as in every single person, but they're kind of one. So certainly when it's 1,000 people and 500 and 100, you treat them like one. But when it's 20 people at 6 Impossible Things, it is 20 individuals. There is no one. You don't get to say you because you can see everybody and they're around you. So I can see those 2 in the back who've had a little too much to drink and they thought they were just coming to a comedy club night. And I can see these 4 people who know each other, but they're older than everybody else in the room and they're a little more restrained and they're not so sure about this walking around during the show. They've never seen anything immersive before. And I've seen these 2 in the front because they're magicians. And so they're looking at technique and that's a different vibe. So it was an incredibly tough audience, very fulfilling. And when the show hit, it would hit extra, extra hard. But you would be constantly juggling because it wasn't one thing. It was like 20 different entities that you're messing with. But you would be constantly juggling because it wasn't one thing. It was like 20 different entities that you're messing with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that I see some questions coming in right now, and I think it's a good time because first off, everyone's letting you know, great advice, absolutely great advice. Oh, I am getting some serious feedback. Hold on. Oh, there we go. All right. All right. That was weird. But yes, we are getting some questions. I would like to take some time because we did promise people they would get a chance to ask you some questions. And there's actually, there was a really interesting one because we just talked about the evolution of the show. And someone asked, can you speak how it felt on opening night versus closing night and the different feeling of opening a show versus, I guess, technically closing the show and bringing it to an end?
Well, closing was a much, much better feeling. I don't want to get too in depth here, but imagine. So on opening night, we were just trying to do 25 shows, I think 25, 30 shows, whatever it was. I had spent more money on this show from my savings than on any single thing in my life up to that point. Tens of thousands, high tens of thousands of dollars on marketing, obscene rent, full-time crew. It was a huge risk. So in addition to all the creative risks I was taking, I was just nervous I was going to lose my shirt in the investment. And so that was a big concern for me. I was terribly nervous because even though we had done what I think was a smart thing, we had test audiences for a whole month off and on to work on the material. As always happens, I thought I would be so organized right up until opening night. We really weren't sure what things were going to go in and how it was going to work. And there were so many loose ends. So opening night was nerves and stress and all of that. By closing night, we were a well-oiled machine. The staff had become close friends. We had inside jokes. We knew what to do in every possible scenario. And I was a lot more proud of the show by the end because the show had evolved into something that was, I think, pretty special. So the end was all the feels.
Yeah, definitely. It was all the feels. And I got super nostalgic looking back on it. I feel like you could put me in that space, give me like 30 minutes and I could run the show again. Probably.
Yeah,
It's
I feel like
been
I
2
meant
years.
that all of you guys could perform. And by the way, just a sweet note about our capable host here. What a great story it is. So Matt came to the show as a guest. He just came and paid and bought a ticket and came to the show. And afterward, I come out and meet and chat with people. And he mentioned that he was a magician. I said, cool. And he mentioned that he had just moved to New York. And I said, cool. And he said, yeah, I'm looking for work. So any tips you can give me? And I set you up with an agent who you worked with for a period of time and got you shows. And then we were hiring after that when the show got extended. And we brought Matt in to work for me on the team of Six Impossible Things. And that led to Matt coming on board the marketing team at Vanishing Inc. And here we are. So it's led to a great friendship and lots of
all
cool
about
stuff.
the networking. You just got to keep the networking going. Yes, it was a crazy time, and I'll never forget it because if anyone remembers this back, but you put out an open call for people to join, and I at the time was working full time at a marketing 80-hour a week job, and I was like, I can do this. I can work Thursday through Sunday too. Why not? Let's do it. And as the team knows, you get really close. And I think everyone just got tired of me complaining about working that other job. So they're like, let's just come to Vanishing Inc. and have more fun here. And it's yes, it is truly the reason I am here is because of the show. And it's very special to me, which is a great thing because someone also asked, how does it feel knowing that you're sharing something so personal? So you're not only sharing the show that's so personal and so important to you, but you're exposing, there was 3 tricks that didn't make it. I worked on them for hours, spent money, but they didn't make it. Like you're showing the side of magic that isn't always seen, the not glamorous side, which is important for us to see, but some magicians aren't comfortable sharing it. So how does that feel that this is finally out? This is raw and just as close we've ever seen to the realest possible Joshua J.
Yeah, wow, good question. Well, there are kind of 2 parts to that question. I would say that how does it feel to have it coming out? It feels great, and here's why. We put our hearts into this show, and the tragedy of the format we picked. There were many great things. I mean, doing magic for 20 people, you can do amazing things. You'll see in the show, like the things we could do, you could never do in a traditional show. So it was super fun. I hope you enjoyed just watching it. But we did the math, and something like in 2.5 years, the amount of people we sent through the show would be equal to something like a week and a half of Darren Brown's show in the West End because he's doing 2,000 people a night, right? Nobody saw this show. It was so tiny. It was 20 people twice a night. At first, it was 2 nights a week, then 3 nights, then 4 nights, and then it was 4 nights plus a matinee on Sunday. So we were working our tails off, and yet the show did not produce this army of people who saw it because it was so intimate. So the tragedy for me was always, man, we did this thing and nobody knows about it. And that's one of the reasons we filmed it. And I'm just so happy people will get to see it. To your second point about showing this vulnerable side, if you follow my work at all, you know that my grand overarching unifying theory of magic is that everything in magic is fixed and improved by improving people's fluency. Fluency of magic means how we talk about magic, how we think about magic, how we perceive and watch magic. That means us as magicians, but also laymen as well. Most people have very poor fluency. They can't tell a good magician from a great magician and a great magician from a bad magician. They don't know how to talk about shows in terms of structure. Does it have a circular structure? Does it have a climax? Does it get better as it goes on? Does it reference back? Does it communicate the performer's humanity? And so on and so on and so on. I think people can talk about wine with great fluency or the best Star Wars films. I don't think they talk about magic with very good fluency. And step 1 to fluency is honesty. And so I haven't seen much honesty. I have yet to see a performer who's doing a show in any kind of high profile situation sort of come out and go, I'm really sorry that the show opened with this opener because it wasn't my best work, but then we eventually fixed it. Or if you saw the show before, there was always this moment I never liked. You just never see people talking candidly. So we do that to the nth degree. It's not just me being critical of myself. It's all you guys. There's like 5 people in this documentary that you're going to see that are all talking about.
There's no punches held. That is for sure. You know, Kevin Capinos, the lead magic consultant on the show, he is very honest and all his points are very true about it. And it's nice to see and it's inspiring to see. Which yes, also make sure you see that there that you have crashed the site, Josh. So congratulations, you and Taylor Swift are now you're now alike in so many ways. But thank you. Have crashed the site, but we have got it back up. Also, someone asked that they said that the show only was not working. It is working now. So if you want the show only, go there. There's also a question up there now. Before we get to that one, we're going to get to that one in a second. I do want to just keep one point going because it is inspirational to see something raw. And a friend of ours, Caroline Raven, she asked, what was the hardest part of putting the show together? If you had to nail it down, because there's so much involved, what would the hardest part be?
I would say the hardest part relates back to what we were talking about, which is when to quit an idea. And this has never been talked about in any book I've ever seen before. And I've written an essay on it that'll someday see the light of day. And I'm really glad I just saw it recently. And I wrote the essay as we were taking ghosts out of the show. So for those who don't know, the way I used to get into the show, you'll hear a much more detailed story and you'll see pictures in the explanation. But I thought it was really cool. Brace yourself. But this was the idea. When you come to the show, the host would check you in and would give you a sheet, like a ghost sheet, you know, the Casper ghost sheet with the 2 eyes and the sheet over your head. And everybody is instructed to put the ghost sheet on and proceed down a hallway into a spooky room. So now you've got 20 people in ghost sheets as they arrive, and you can't even tell who the person you came with is because you're just seeing the eyes in a ghost sheet and these 20 ghosts. And all of a sudden, a projection on the wall of me comes up, and I say, "Hi, I'm Joshua J. I'm not ready to join you just yet, but we need the perfect person. We need just the right person to start the show. So we'll do it by process of elimination. I want everybody to stand on a different ghost." And you look down, and there are names of famous dead people: Charlie Chaplin, Amelia Earhart. So everybody stands on one. If you're standing on a female ghost, you're out of the game. Take your sheet off. So they do. And now you go down and down and down, and we whittle it down from 20 down to 1. And I'm on this projector saying, like, we've got just the right person and we can now begin the show. And that person takes off the sheet, and it's me. And so I produce myself. You know, the question was, how do you produce yourself? You're not going to do it in an illusion and wheel in an illusion base for 20 people. What a cool, organic way to do it. Love that premise. And let me tell you guys, that trick was problematic. Oh my God, we could not get people to take it seriously. They kept taking it off. They would rip it through and put it over their head like a graduation gown. They'd wrap it around their heads like a turban. They were being goofy. They wouldn't stand. They wouldn't do the right directions. We had to pause the video in the middle. People wouldn't follow directions. So at the end, it's me and 2 other guys. We had to clean the sheets every time we did it. It was a big hassle. The New York Times, when they reviewed the show, said that they thought that it was a poor choice to put people in what looked like Ku Klux Klan garb, which is like super ridiculous, but fine. It was just so problematic. So we kept improving it. We found new ways to make it better. We did masks instead of the ghost sheets. We made it quicker at how it went down. We made it easier for people to move around in the space. And we got it to the point where 2 out of 3 times, gasps. But that was 60 shows in. And for a third of those shows, didn't start off in the commanding way I wanted it to. And eventually one night we just had to kill it from the show. We just had to go, it doesn't work anymore. And we had to come up with a new opener. And that is such a hard thing to do, to take something you've put hundreds of hours in and lots of ingenuity and you've taken from a 3 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10. But we really, as you'll see, we used to put forms out. We had, during the rehearsals, we had people rate all the tricks that they saw. And I didn't want anything in the show that was less than a 9 out of 10.
Yes, actually, it was an addition by subtraction, but it will always be in there as a special part of how the show evolved. And just another question that came up here. Is there another version to be released or only the deluxe box set? So just to clarify, there is the show only. You can see the show 4K. It's awesome. It looks the same quality as anything you'd see on Netflix or Hulu. And then there is the deluxe box set that is for the collectors. That's a first edition. It's signed, it's numbered. You get 3.5 hours of explanations, interviews, a really well done behind the scenes by a just terrific host who looks identical to me. And also, you get all of the collectibles, the 6 limited edition collectibles in there, which are all listed on that page. So you can just get the show, or if you want the deluxe set collector set with the explanations, those are available separately. So we have time for one more question. And then we are going to give tell the giveaway winners who have won the cards and the t-shirt. But that first question is, it did pop up earlier. We didn't get a chance to it. What's next, Joshua J? What is next?
Yeah, so I am very close to signing the contract for my next show. It was meant to really follow right after 6 Impossible Things, and then COVID happened. It's a show called Look Closer, and it's a parlor show. And it's going to debut in Chicago. I'm going to do a month in Chicago, and then the show's going to go elsewhere to live. But I think that it'll debut in April. So as recently as last night, was working on elements of that show. And I would love for you guys all to see it. It's not going to be immersive. It's not going to be small. It's going to be a big show. And it's got its own theme. And yeah, I've been thinking about it for 4 years now. So I'm excited about it.
And what a great place to start. I mean, what a great magic scene in Chicago that you're going to get to add to and show it off there. I know there's probably some people from Chicago watching now. It's a great scene out there. That's awesome. We need to announce the winners. We're going to announce those winners now. Then we will. If you missed the trailer, the amazing trailer, we're going to play that again to end. But we do have 3 winners. So we had people. So when you signed up for this stream, you automatically were entered in to win a prize pack, which has the limited edition 6 Possible Things cards, plus a t-shirt. So we are going to need your t-shirt size. So if your name is Brendan Williams, David Strong, or Jared Fenner, that's Fenner. So if you are Brendan Williams, David Strong, or Jared Fenner, and you are watching right now, make sure you send us an email at magic@vanishinginkmagic.com with your t-shirt size and also saying you won. We will get that prize pack out to you as soon as possible. With that, though, I do want to let everyone know, if you have noticed, the website did crash. That is because a lot of people are trying to get their hands on this, and a lot of them have sold out. There was only 600 of them ever made. They're all signed and numbered. Once those first editions are gone, they will never be available again, and a good portion of those are gone as well. If you want to check out the show, you can do that as well. There is a show only 4K. It's great. With that, though, I'm going to let Josh end on something. He's going to sing you a song, tell you something amazing. We are going to head out of here. You're going to see the trailer again. That's all for us today. Yes, the tides have turned. He always makes Andy do it. Now it's his turn to sing everybody a little tune.
Let's get down to bit. No, I'm not going to do that. I just wanted to thank everybody. Vulnerable is the word we used a few minutes ago with the show. This show was my entire life for 2.5 years. I mean, from Tuesday to Sunday of every week, I spent most of the time in that basement with these 5 lunatics that were part of the show. And we worked very, very, very hard at it. And we were hard on the show, and we made the show a lot better. And it meant the world that so many of you, you flew out to see it. You hung out with us afterward. And if you did, we're grateful. But it is a very vulnerable feeling to release it all to the world, because I hadn't seen the footage until this week for a very long time. And I was like, wow, forgot about a lot of that stuff. And I'm just so grateful to everybody. I genuinely feel like if I can pump it up, I tend not to do that with my own stuff. But the one thing I will say, I said it to Andy when I rewatched the explanation. I said, if somebody's putting together their own show, I do think there's value here. So in addition to watching a show I hope you enjoy, I pull no punches. And I talk about a lot of things that I really wish I knew when I was putting a show together, because it's a lot of practical advice in there that I hope you enjoy. And thanks for tuning in. Support means everything to me. It's very lucky to get to do what I do. So thank you.
Yes, and we know we actually have those team members here, so we got to shout them out. So it's not just me. It's not just Josh. You got Kevin. You got Cassie. You got Jason. You got Cam. You have all those amazing people that helped out. Also, people that just would stop in and they'd fill in on the spot and they'd learn the show and they'd help us out when we needed them in a pinch. It was a team effort to get it all done. It was the best 18 months of my life. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. That's all we have today. Make sure you get your hand on one of those deluxe sets or just check out the show tonight. Enjoy your Friday. We'll see all of you again very soon.
He's mystified everyone from Hollywood's biggest stars to the President of the United States.
Joshua J! Everybody! How did you do that?
I think you fooled us. That was the way you did it.
There are thousands of videos and books on magic technique and theory and tricks. But if you want to know the secret to putting together a show, executing a show, mounting a show, and doing the show, there's almost nowhere to look. For the last 5 years, I've been working on developing a show, 6 Impossible Things. In this project, I not only share that show with you, but we go into the decisions behind a show, how to write a show, how to mount a show, and how to keep doing that show after hundreds of performances. If you're looking for how to take a collection of tricks and turn them into a show with a through line, a show that tells stories, a show that gives meaning to the magic, this is for you. I'll be detailing how some of my most prized effects work.
Wait a minute, can you take the tape off of there? Try and can you get into the pocket there, Sabrina? See, there is no pocket. There is no...
It's an unusual, unforgettable journey, and for the first time ever, we're allowing cameras into the space to give you a front row seat to 6 impossible things.